I'm feeling brave today and I'm forcing myself out of my comfort zone and I'm going to talk to the camera. So, hi. I even push record. Today I want to make a dish that I have made one other time and I didn't have all the right ingredients for it, but I do today. So I want to make a butter chicken. I also thought it could be fun to talk about that we live in a mixed diet household. So I am vegetarian and my husband just eats whatever. He loves anything. He is your classic meats and potatoes guy, which really doesn't fare well to vegetarian heavy cooking. So it's been fun, but also a challenge trying to find recipes that we both really enjoy. Hear noise in the background, that's my dog chewing on a bone. He has mentioned in the past that he loves butter chicken, and I'm gonna take him up on this because I love Asian flavors, so love creamy, decadent curries. So when you mentioned butter chicken, I got excited because this is more of like a warm curry, and so I'm very excited. I'm gonna split it half and half, and I'm gonna do half chicken, half tofu, and this way we can both enjoy this dish. And yeah, I guess that was my only point. Butter chicken, comma, easy. Jump to recipe. I read some other recipes. I was just browsing last night that they said you wanted to marinate your protein for at least 3 hours, if not overnight. So I think I'm going to marinate this chicken, although this recipe doesn't call for it. So I'll just take a little bit of the yogurt and some of the spices and just marinate the chicken and the tofu in that because I want the best flavor possible. Okay. Let's get cooking. Okay, so I have assembled everything for our marinade. So I have our chicken and I have the tofu, so our two different protein sources. And then I have some half and half, some yogurt, and then just some dried spices. So garlic, garam masala, turmeric, cumin, and chili powder. So I will grab some bowls and we will get to marinating. I went ahead and drained the water from the tofu and squeezed out some of the excess. That way it will hopefully be able to absorb more of the marinade. This is so fun. When I was little, my siblings and I loved to pretend like we had a cooking show, and I feel like I'm doing that now for real. So this is fun. I feel my inner child coming out. I'm gonna start with the tofu because, to be honest, cross-contamination kind of freaks me out, especially chicken. So I wanna have all of my protein done, and I'll do the chicken last. I'm gonna make the marinade first, and I'm just kind of eyeballing this. I'm just using the ingredients in the recipe to make the marinade. Every other recipe I saw gave you a marinade to use. This one doesn't, but I know it was a basis of your yogurt, your dairies, and your spices. So I'm just gonna eyeball just enough to hopefully coat the protein. So I'm probably doing about 1/4 of a cup of yogurt. I might as well make this one too. I'm not going to use all of this chicken for butter chicken. I might use maybe half. That's a lot of chicken for one man to eat. He'd get real tired of butter chicken. I'm going to add a little bit of half and half just to thin it out. Most of these spices, it looks like they want a teaspoon for the whole recipe, so I'm just gonna, probably 1/4 teaspoon. Less chili powder, so we'll just do a couple. Some cumin, usually it's a teaspoon, so we'll try to do the same amount as the garlic. Turmeric was the same amount as chili powder, so we'll do less turmeric. Whoa, that comes out fast. And then for the main spice, I would say, which is the garam masala, says about a teaspoon. So we'll try to do the same amount as the garlic powder. But our marinades are ready. I'm gonna set the chicken one aside and do the tofu one first. And I think I'm just gonna cube this up, but leave them in bigger cubes because they'll probably crumble. So the key I've kind of discovered, at least for us in our household when it comes to having two different diets, is kind of making the same base to something but keeping the proteins separate and adding them at the end. It makes it a whole lot easier than making two entirely separate dishes. That way both people are happy and you're getting to eat, you know, what you want. You still feel like you get to eat the meals that you want, because that's the other thing too, is my family sometimes like, how do you do that? How do you handle, you know, having such different tastes and different diet? And honestly, it just comes down to respect. Respecting the other person and just realizing that, you know, you don't have to eat the exact same to get along, to have happy, delicious meals together. And it's also just being open to different types of food and different types of meals, I would say. I should have used a bigger bowl. I mean, sometimes it can be hard. I think it's kind of funny, but more so on my husband's side is, I cook. I'm the cook for the house. I love to cook, and it has been interesting trying to learn how to cook meat. I have been vegetarian for 8 or 9 years now, so I was still in high school. And so before this, my mom mainly cooked for me, and so I never really cooked meat, because once I started cooking, I was cooking for myself, which was just, you know, vegetarian, plant-based foods. And so I never really had to learn how to cook meat. And so that has been an interesting thing over the last couple of years. But the reason why I say it's funny, or it's kind of hard cooking for someone who eats differently than you do, and you don't necessarily want to, you can even see me, and you don't necessarily want to partake in what they're eating. I don't always know how his food tastes. And so he kind of has to adapt a little bit, and I never take offense if he wants to add salt or sriracha or something else, because I have no idea what it tastes like. So that's kind of a funny thing when it comes to living in a mixed diet household, when your cook doesn't eat some of the food that she makes. Okay, brief intermission. My husband came down and said hi. You hit my chair. What are you doing? What are you doing? Come here. Come here. I don't know how people film with young children. We're gonna go ahead and get our chicken out. And I grabbed a plate because, as I mentioned, I still get the ick when it comes to chicken. It just makes me uncomfortable, and I know that like a wooden cutting board isn't the best to use because it can cause cross-contamination, so my cutting boards are saved for veggies. But if you're like me, I found out a great thing to use is just a plate, and then scissors actually work great for cutting up chicken, so that's what we're going to do. I don't exactly know what I'm doing, so we're just gonna cut it into bite-sized pieces. Sorry if you hear noises, my dog is under the table. I'm so excited for this recipe, and my husband came down. He's like, ooh, what are you making? And I had him guess based on the ingredients, and his eyes lit up when he realized what I was making. So I'm excited, he's excited. My dog just pitter-pattering. Can you see him right now? Can you see his nose? You know, I never thought that I would cook with meat. But sometimes you just meet someone and you love the heck out of them, and I want him to be happy and healthy and eating what he wants. I think it's always good to never say never when it comes to these types of things. You know, I don't know if I will ever be interested in eating meat again. I've questioned it before, and I even tried fish for a little bit, but there's just something about it. I don't like the flavor or texture. I've recently accidentally been served chicken and pork that gets kind of mixed in with stir-fried things at restaurants, and I really don't like the texture or the flavor that it adds. Also for me too, I'm just a bleeding heart, so that's the main reason why I stopped eating meat in the first place. When I was younger, I would have never ever said that I would be vegetarian, and as of now, I might say that I don't ever plan on eating meat, but I don't know who I'm gonna be in, 20 years, 10 years from now, even 5 years from now. I could be a whole different person, and I'm trying to let myself remember that. One of the things I love about being with my husband, who makes me feel safe and loved no matter what, I mean, besides the big ones, I don't murder people, that I feel safe and like he wouldn't judge me if I decided to start eating meat again, or if I wanted to go, hardcore vegan. He doesn't care. And I think that's a beautiful thing, and it's allowed me to feel comfortable to explore food a little bit more. Or, he didn't give me any grief when I said I wanted to try eating fish, and then I stopped. He doesn't give me grief. I remember the first time I cooked for him, and he asked if I would make, I think it was just hamburgers or something, and I remember I got the hamburger out of the package, and I don't think I even touched it. I think I used a spoon for the whole thing because I was just so out of my element and kind of uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, I want to respect, stuck to me, I want to respect how he wants to eat, because he respects how I want to eat. And I guess the way that my beliefs still bleed into him eating meat is I try to source it from the best sourcing possible. I grew up in Iowa, and so I was all around the agriculture, a lot of, Briggs taking a drink of water. I grew up around farming, around a lot of, corn and soy, but we were like the pork capital, I think, or close to it, and so there was just CAFOs everywhere, confined animal farming operations. I don't know if that's a thing, but confined containment for animals, and it was so hard to see, and it smelled so bad, and that definitely, growing up and seeing how the animals were treated during their life was heartbreaking to me, and that was a big component as why I went vegetarian. Sourcing is a big point for me, so I support that my husband wants to eat meat, and anyone else in my life, even though I don't want to, but I'm still going to try to source it from the best sources possible. So it is currently, I think it's noon right now, so I'm gonna make this for supper. So this should be able to marinate for 5 hours. So I know they said the longer the better, because especially mainly for the chicken, the marinade is gonna help break down the meat and make it much, much more tender to eat. So a great thing to do with food scraps, especially meats that you didn't want or you thought might be undesirable, is I love to cook them in the microwave, and then my dog gets a treat. So onion, garlic, lots and lots of garlic, compost bin. Just make sure you can see me. My head was kind of out of frame. Hopefully that's better. It was like here. I actually recently found out that I'm taller than I thought I was. Oops, not the sticker in the compost. I thought I was 5'8", 5'8", but I ordered potentially my wedding dress yesterday. Exciting. and I ordered it online, so they needed my height. And so I measured myself with the tape measure, and apparently I'm 5'9", so I'm taller than I actually thought I was. That's a fun question, if anyone cares. You know, sometimes you see people on camera and they look taller or shorter. Do I look like I'm 5'9"? Or you're like, that's not what I'm here for. That's fine too. So I'm gonna stop talking now. That way I can quickly edit through this, because this video is already so long of me rambling. Headless me rambling. And I will talk to you again at the stovetop. Oh, my eyes. Oh, perfect. Whoops, run away. I have to get my other cutting board. I need to get away from this. Okay, goodbye, onion. You're gonna go over here. We'll see you later. I just realized earlier I said the easiest way to make food for people with 2 different diets is making the same base. And then just adding the proteins, which actually I'm not doing in this recipe. I'm actually going to make them in 2 separate pots, just because I feel like the base of the butter chicken for my husband's, like, you need to get all the chicken flavors as a base before you add your sauce in, your gravy, your curry, whatever you want to call it. So I am actually going to be doing 2 separate pans today. There's the cast iron, and then also Dutch oven, technically, I think. I'm not sure. These heated up. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, we're gonna let our butter melt down here, and then we're gonna add our chopped onion and garlic, and then I also will grate in some ginger that I keep frozen. Our spices, these are the same spices I added for the marinade, and I'll leave the recipe in the description in case anyone wants to know exactly what's going in here. So I need you to tell me, how does it look? Does it look like butter chicken? Does it look like what you remember?
Am I gonna be in the video?
Yeah. I'm not showing you. It's just, you can see your hand and your fork. About how it
I'll
is.
tell you how it is.
Yeah, but just know the whole internet's watching, so be nice.
Now you know I'm gonna be an asshole.
Okay, so there will be some editing. This is a PG channel.
I just knew I could throw something in there. Good.
Yes. Crushed it. Crushed it.